Look at that, little mini beaker. We're doing science. What do you think is the most scariest acid someone could make at home? So I've got these 5 different demonstrations here where I can make different acids for each of these and test them against different materials like bone, metals, and some other things. We're gonna start off with the most calmest acids and work our way up to the most dangerous, starting with number 5, vinegar, well, acetic acid. Vinegar itself isn't actually an acid though. It's got acetic acid in it, which is about 4% in this bottle. If you were to make this at home, you would add a little bit of sugar to some water, if the sugar went in, and then you'd top it off with a little mini beaker of yeast. There you go. And then you let that ferment for about a week, where the yeast enzymes would turn the sugar into ethanol or alcohol. And then that takes about 1 week without oxygen. You don't want air getting into this. Then after about a week, you then let air come in, and that oxygen will then further ferment it using bacteria. It's called like acetobacteria or something like that. And it will turn that ethanol into acetic acid, which is what we have in our bottle here. For this acetic acid, the pH, oh, let's see, it's turned orange. This is litmus paper. And that corresponds to about a pH of 3 to 4 on the pH scale, as you can see. It's safe enough that you can just pour it on your hand without consequence. It's really safe. It's not really a problem. It's weak. I think we all knew that already, but you wouldn't want to get it in your eyes. That would really sting. Now, if you got it on, say, some magnesium metal, it does fizz a little bit. Let me put it in here. It reacts with magnesium metal kind of slowly. You can see it bubbling right there. So that's producing hydrogen gas, which is flammable. I can't really demonstrate it though because it's so weak that it barely bubbles at all. I mean, it's bubbling strongly, but it's not enough to ignite anything on fire. I mean, putting bone into this stuff, it does nothing at all. It does not dissolve the bone. It's not strong enough to. But this one is so tame, we don't need to make it. We can just buy it from the grocery store. But you'll notice as we move up the danger scale, everything starts becoming much more difficult to get, and we'll have to start making the dangerous acids ourselves. Well, that doesn't do anything. Guess just on to the next acid. Okay, now we're ready for number 4. This one is hydrochloric acid, one that you can't buy from the grocery store. I had to buy this from the hardware store, which makes it a lot easier to get, but this one was still locked in a cage, so I had to get permission for this, but it is still easily accessible enough. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this one. You use it to lower the pH in your pool. And if you were to make this at home, you would mix just regular old table salt, sodium chloride, with sodium bisulfate, which is pH decreaser, also a pool chemical, weirdly enough. Now the idea is that when this heats up, it produces hydrogen chloride, not exactly the acid. So that's why we have this bubbling setup right here. So the gases will go through this elbow joint and then go through this water here. And when it bubbles through the water, it will then produce the hydrochloric acid we're after. Now, I could just set this up and let it heat up over time, but that's just gonna take forever. So I'm gonna blowtorch it and hope that we get the same result. All right, just heating this up slowly until we get bubbles in the water below. That's the idea. All right, and you can see over here, it is producing some bubbles of gas. And hopefully that gas contains our hydrogen chloride, which then converts to hydrochloric acid in the water. Okay, now we've got some fumes coming off. That should be the hydrogen chloride making HCl now. There we go. We're doing science. Yeah. Quickly test the pH. Oh, there we go. See that? Look how it's more red. Notice how it's not as orange this time? It's a lot more like pH 2 or 1. To just show how powerful this stuff actually is, I'm gonna use the hand test. Just put it against this hand. Now you can still pour it on your hand without immediate consequences. At the moment, I feel absolutely nothing. It's completely fine. And the reason for that is because I have a layer of dead skin cells on my hand that kind of act like a temporary glove, so to say. So as long as I don't leave this on my hand for too long, it will be completely fine. This is 32% hydrochloric acid. And just to prove that it is, I'll put this against magnesium. There we go. You can hear it bubbling. There you go. So yeah, I definitely have hydrochloric acid on my hand. Although now it is starting to sting a little bit, so I'll wash my hand off. And yeah, that's why you shouldn't freak out if you get an acid on you, because usually most workplace accidents when it comes to acids is people don't actually notice it's on them until it's too late. and it starts stinging and actually burning through their hands. So I did once do this for 4 minutes straight to ice cold hydrochloric acid. You don't want to get hot acids on you. Hot acids would pretty much immediately burn through that dead layer of skin cells and start reacting with you immediately. So cold to room temperature acids is normally okay for short periods of time. That's why you should just go and wash your hand as soon as possible. You don't need to run there and knock everything over on the way. Let's just put the magnesium in and just see how much faster it reacts compared to the vinegar or the acetic acid. Okay, it's got a little bit of hydrochloric. There we go. Look how much faster that's reacting compared to the acetic acid. Give it just a few more seconds and that whole magnesium Rubin strip it's gone. Completely gone, vanished. So much faster, so much more scary. The fact I can put it on my hand though, means it's really not the scariest acid. So let's see what it does to bone. I mean, this stuff is so tame that I can just put a bone in it and it's gonna bubble a little bit as it reacts slowly, but I don't think it'll dissolve the whole bone. But that is nothing in comparison to acid number 3. The third scary acid on our list is sulfuric acid. This one was a lot harder to get. I had to find a pool supply company. I couldn't find it from the hardware store anymore because it's so dangerous. So this will be interesting now. We're getting kind of scary at this point. Just to show how scary this stuff is, I'm gonna fill up this beaker with a little bit of it. You'll notice it's colored a little bit. Normally it's not colored this heavily, but that's because they've got some additives in it to prevent it from reacting with metals, but it's still essentially the same. So right here we have this meme. This right here, I found a meme that says dissolving my dog in hydrochloric acid. And we're gonna actually put it in hydrochloric acids. This is from before. It bubbles a little bit. Interesting. But overall, it still exists. The dog did not dissolve. Now, if I put it into the sulfuric acid, however, whoa, it's bubbling a lot more vigorously. And give it 2-3 seconds maybe. Look at that, it's gone. Okay, so dissolving your dog in sulfuric acid is a bad idea. If you were to make this at home, you would mix sodium metabisulfite into the bottom of a Erlenmeyer flask right here. So we got the powder in there already. I've already put it in there. Don't need that right now. And then we'll have some hydrochloric acid dripping into the sodium metabisulfite. So to do that, it's weird, I know, to use acids to make acids, but it's pretty common. Here we go, let's put some hydrochloric acid in. Now when I open up the valve here, it drips in the hydrochloric acid and you can see it bubbles down below here. That's creating sulfur dioxide gas, which then goes back up here into this tube right here and fills the space with sulfur dioxide gas. But then this is open at the top, so it just escapes. So what you do then is you block it up on the top, and then I gotta weigh it down a little bit with, I don't know, something random I found. And so now you can see this tube should direct the gas into this cup right here, which is a Nürburgring cup. Perfect for chemistry. However, when this sulfur dioxide gas is bubbling through the water, it's creating sulfurous acid, not sulfuric acid. So to convert that to sulfuric acid, we then need to put in a bit of this stuff. Some very appropriate hydrogen peroxide, 50%. It's my favorite chemical. I use it all the time. It's a lot higher concentration than it should be. So just take a little bit of this hydrogen peroxide. We'll then just pop a little bit of that into the glass there that it's bubbling into. And there you go. Now, let's just continue the reaction a bit. Wow, okay, so this is reacting very fast now. It's bubbling. Love that smell. You know, I can definitely smell the sulfur. It's got a rotten egg sort of smell to it. It's not very lovely. But this is gonna be quite dilute, so what you'd normally do is concentrate it down by boiling it to then get your concentrated sulfuric acid like this stuff, except it wouldn't be black, it would be clear. Now, I did actually make some of this myself in this method a few years back. It was very dodgy of a setup, but it did work. I kind of spilt it, but it did work. Okay, just to show how acidic this is, I've got some pH paper, and I'm just gonna put it over the top where the fumes are. I'm not even gonna bother putting it in. You can see almost real time it changing color. So we're definitely moving down the scale. And I guess scary in this case, the lower the pH values go. Now we're gonna put some magnesium metal into sulfuric acid, and you'll notice that it doesn't actually react as fast as hydrochloric acid does, even though it's got a lower pH. Now the reason this isn't actually reacting as fast as it was in the hydrochloric acid is because there's not really much water in this. This is like 95 to 98% sulfuric acid, so there's not many ions around it to be able to react with the magnesium really readily. So it probably also won't react with bone that strongly either, but we're gonna have to see. So because the concentrated sulfuric acid doesn't really react that fast, we're gonna put it in the sulfuric acid that we just made, in this one that has more water in it. So this one should react a bit faster, and we'll see what the bone does when we come back in about an hour. While you can legally buy this acid, we're gonna be really pushing the limits of what's legal. So let's go on to number 2, Caro's acid. Now this is gonna look very similar to the sulfuric acid one because, well, we're using sulfuric acid. This is way too dangerous for me to do without gloves, so let me just get my gloves on real quick. Okay, there we go, we got our gloves on, and now what we're gonna do is add some sulfuric acid, which is basically what we made before. This one's actually clear though, because it's more pure. I saved it especially for this reaction. Here we go, that's filled with sulfuric acid. And now we're gonna bring back our old friend. Hydrogen peroxide again. Now this is extra scary because although it seems like this is what we did last time, adding hydrogen peroxide to the sulfuric acid, this is actually concentrated sulfuric acid, which means it's gonna react a little bit differently. So right now, I'm gonna have to add it really carefully. I'm just gonna be adding this hydrogen peroxide drop by drop, just enough so that it can oxidize the things inside of it. So now this is not only just an acid, this is also an oxidizer, and it's making something called Caro's acid, which is a long word I'm not gonna say. So it goes from H2SO4 to H2SO5, I believe, or maybe it's a bit different than that. We can include that if I got it right and not include it if I got it wrong. Anyway, that's enough hydrogen peroxide for my liking. I'll just get rid of that. There we go. Now it's already bubbling because it's just so reactive. Let's just test how destructive this is. I'm sorry, Long Cat. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Oh, it is gone. Next up, we've got Pikachu. Oh, he didn't look too happy about that. We've got a boy kisser right here. Oh, and we got someone else there that, okay, let's just put him in there. Oh. They are gone immediately. Adding more hydrogen peroxide to it, it starts bubbling again, starts reacting. Oh, there we go, we can see it's starting to turn clear again. There we go. So that's the paper now turning back into carbon dioxide. That is how strong this is. This is so strong of an acid and an oxidizer that it actually rips apart the carbon atoms in the paper towel and turns it into a gas of carbon dioxide. This is actually so hot, it's actually melting the table. Oh my gosh. Whoa, it's actually melting through. Look at that. What the heck? Oh my God. Okay, I didn't expect this. This is terrifying. Okay, we just made a plastic bag. Well, that's nice, nifty. The acid didn't even touch the table and it still melted a hole through it. Why? If only I had a better table. That's why this video is sponsored by FlexiSpot. I'm used to using this old plastic table for my chemistry, but this isn't just bad for chemistry, this is genuinely bad for my health. I'm quite tall, so I have to look down at my monitor when I'm working on the computer, often making me slouch. And talking about the monitor, it doesn't have a good mounting option to connect to the table, so it just wobbles around every time I try to make a video on my webcam. To try to fix this, I've like tied string around it, but that doesn't work. It still just wobbles around and falls over sometimes. This desk has 440 pounds or almost 200 kilos of static weight capacity. Whoa, that's some meaty legs. Extendable too. It has a dual motor 3-stage semi-C leg structure, which makes it super rigid. My thin little legs of the plastic table cannot stand up to this. But it's good because my plastic desk is the exact same size as this one, so I can just swap it out. This is a huge upgrade. With this bamboo top, it's not gonna melt through the table like earlier. Honestly, this is so much sturdier than before, what the heck? This has a 25 to 50.6 inch height adjustment range. When moving this desk up, it's super stable. Okay, that's what I wanted. And it has a 15-year warranty, which is the longest warranty I've ever heard of, and a 30-day risk-free return service. They have a variety of different desk sizes and finishes to suit your style and needs. I chose bamboo because it just looks luxury. If you want an E7 Pro desk like mine, go to flexispot.com and check out their Black Friday sales. where you can save $30 off using code GREEN69 at checkout. Thank you, FlexiSpot, for sponsoring this video. I'll find a good use for this now. Okay, now you cannot put this on your hand. I'm just gonna say that outright. This is also melting through the table again. There we go, it's okay. And we're gonna put this onto magnesium. There is a bit of magnesium in this jar. Look at that, the magnesium ribbon is getting eaten a little bit, like it's become a lot thinner, but it's not as much as the others actually. So I'd say this acid is definitely more scary than sulfuric and hydrochloric, but it's scary in a different way because this acid specifically likes to target organic compounds a lot. So it's scary in the sense that if you touch it, it's gonna just eat right through you. So don't touch this stuff. And it could melt you too. Like it could burn you as well just from the heat alone. So it's got multiple different dangers involved with this one. Okay, now the last acid had a pH of 1. Let's see what the pH of this one is. It seems like it's air, otherwise known as off the charts. That's intense. Let's try to get another reading quickly. Oh, dip it in, take it out. Okay, no, it just melts. It's black. I don't know what that means. Okay, let's see what it does to bone. I'll just submerge about half the bone and see if it does anything interesting. Look at that, it's like shedding the flesh off of it. Oh, the bone's turning white, it's starting to turn clear. Oh no. The bone is completely submerged. I'm not letting go of it though. I'm just gonna let it react. Oh, it's gone. I'm still holding onto the bone, but where's the rest of it? Oh, that was gone in seconds. That's all I got left of the bone now. There's this tiny little bit in my pliers. Wow, that's a different level of scary. But while that's scary, it doesn't come close to number 1. The scariest acid you can easily make at home, hydrofluoric acid. Now again, you cannot buy this anywhere. It is impossible to, even if you're a chemist. And a lot of chemists decide not to ever touch this stuff or play with it because of how scary it is. But it's scary in a way that's very different to the other acids, where this one isn't actually as corrosive or acidic. The reason it's so scary is because it's so toxic. So if you get enough of this stuff on you, which is a very small amount, mind you, it can pretty much be lethal. Basically what happens if you get this on you, at least enough of it, it will enter through your skin, enter through your bloodstream, precipitate the calcium out of your blood, and that calcium is needed to make your muscles function and for you to be alive and well. So what we're gonna be doing here is making an insanely small amount of it, and it's also gonna be dilute in this Hungry Jack's glass that, it's perfect for it. Don't question the setup. And it was actually hard to find a way to make this at home. There's not really much on the internet you can find about making this for good reason. So I just want to make it very clear, do not actually attempt this at home. It is actually a very bad idea. We are doing this with the most safety precautions possible though. We're doing this outside in a ventilated space. And when working with fluorinated substances like this, it's really important to have splash protection. So I've got double layered gloves. One's nitrile, over top is a neoprene glove. And then I've got a neoprene apron as well on top of that. I guess I also have this hazmat suit underneath I can take off if it gets wet or something. But yeah, this is pretty much all covering me. And the only thing that's not covered is my face. Normally I would wear a face shield for something like this, but we've done it at such a small scale that it's gonna be fine. We also have a fail-safe down below here. You'll see this white powder right here, which is a base so that it would react with any acid that might accidentally spill out. It just contains everything here because we don't want anything entering the environment. We don't want anything getting on the table and then getting on me. So it's just good to have everything contained and neutralized if anything bad happens. So now, if you were to make this at home, what we gotta start with is something called fluorite. It's a natural mineral. It's just a gemstone I found in some store that promotes healing and open the third eye kind of stuff. I don't know how they sell you these kind of marketing schemes for rocks that don't do anything, but they mentioned you can absorb the energy from this rock to like promote calmness. But what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be smashing this rock, and you wouldn't really wanna absorb it after that. What we're gonna do with this rock is gonna be very bad to absorb. Yeah. So now I just have 5 grams worth of calcium fluoride powder from the rock. It's that simple. And I have this vial here containing sulfuric acid. So again, using acids to make acids. It's a weird concept. We're gonna just add this in. And here, now we have this vial containing sulfuric acid and calcium fluoride. And that is the only reactants we need for this. That is how scarily easy it is to make this. Now you might notice when I mix this around, the powder's gone from white to almost like a clear slurry. Like it's already kind of dissolving the calcium fluoride in a weird way. Okay, we're now just gonna add this onto the end of this Teflon tubing. This is because what we're about to do is produce a bunch of hydrogen fluoride gases that need to be escaped and bubbled through water. And now we're putting it in an oil bath to help control the temperature. There we go. So now it's in an oil bath on top of a hot plate, and I've got a thermometer here to keep track of the temperature that it's gonna rise to. So now with everything prepared here, I'm gonna turn on the hot plate and heat it up till it's about 200 degrees Celsius. But what's gonna happen is once it's above about 100 degrees, it's gonna start producing hydrogen fluoride. And usually you wouldn't have that happen inside of a glass reaction vessel because hydrogen fluoride eats through glass. That's how reactive it is. So it's gonna ruin this piece of glassware, but it's not gonna eat all the way through it to the point of failure. It's just gonna etch it a little bit, and it will produce some hydrogen fluoride, which is a gas, which will go through this tube and bubble through the solution here of water. So right now we're at 120 degrees Celsius, and you can see it's starting to react with the calcium fluoride. As this goes on, it will start to turn white, it will start boiling and bubbling a lot more vigorously and producing our hydrogen fluoride that we need. And we start to see some white smoke in this glass over here. From the 5 grams of calcium fluoride that I reacted with the sulfuric acid, that should produce less than 3 grams of hydrogen fluoride. So this is about 2 to 3% probably. It's probably like 100 mils. Something like that. So it's a really low concentration. If you get it on yourself, it's still bad for the human body, so I won't be touching this. But we can make it at least look a little more friendly by putting a little friendly little sticker on there. There you go. Yeah, now you don't even notice that it's got hydrogen fluoride in it, and it's like one of the acids that chemists fear. So it's all good. Now we're gonna do a little pH test to see how acidic this is, because I believe this isn't just HF, this is also a bit of sulfuric in it, which makes it more dangerous. So now it's extra acidic and toxic. Here we go, let's chuck that in there. Ah, lovely. It's a very solid red number 1, which is very fitting for this number 1 on our list of the scariest acid you can easily make at home. We're gonna put a little bit of magnesium in it, although I don't think it's gonna do much because of how dilute this is. Let me just put this in. It's bubbling, but it's bubbling very, very slowly. So despite the very low pH, it's actually pretty weak at doing much of anything to the metal. Because it barely reacted with the magnesium metal, I'm not gonna bother putting a bone in it. It might dissolve it, but it would probably take like days. While we let this cool down for a bit and finish reacting, we're gonna go check on the bones from the hydrochloric and the sulfuric tests. So looking back at our acid solutions, my hydrochloric here and my sulfuric that have the bones in them, it actually seems like the one with the bone in it did worse, like as in it dissolved the bone more. That's kind of scary. The one in the sulfuric has bubbles on it. It pretty much looks the same as it did when I put it in, just a bit more white. Whereas the one on the right is like blackened and falling apart completely. It's been in the acid for longer, but that's kind of, maybe this is scarier. I don't know. That's weird. Well, there you have it. That was the 5 most scariest acids you can easily make at home. Thank you to all my patrons for making these videos possible. You guys are the best. And thank you for this video. Man, I am parched after all that science. So what I'm gonna do to destroy it is to mix these 2 compounds together. So this is just water, and this is more calcium hydroxide. That is our neutralizing solution. We're gonna mix the hydrogen fluoride we just made in here. There you go, just neutralized it. And that's how it should work. When it's pure calcium hydroxide, there shouldn't be any bubbles.